Okay, I think we might be live. I think we might be live. So if we are, I want to thank everyone for joining in to another episode of the Book Brew. And today I'm super excited because we have a very special guest here on the channel, with that being Christopher Navo here on the channel with me tonight. I think it's been a long time, Christopher, since we've been talking back and forth for a few months now. So I just want to say thank you again for joining me tonight. And I know it's like what 6 p.m. for you over there, right? How's it going so far?
It's a great time for me.
I know the saying goes is that you can always enjoy a beer, or it's 5 o'clock somewhere. For me, it's 9 o'clock. For you, it's 6 o'clock. So we're in the clear, right?
Absolutely.
So
thanks for having me. I mean, this was great. I know like you said, we've kind of hit back and forth, of course, primarily through our channels. And we now get the opportunity to actually talk live, which I enjoy. This is kind of why I got into BookTube personally, was to have these interactions of talking about things that we enjoy.
No, I am right in the same boat. When I started my channel a while back, like 4 months ago, a little bit more than 4 months now, I did not think that the book community was this huge. I had no idea. Like when I came into this, I was just thinking, we got Daniel Green, we got Patrick, and we got Library of a Viking, and Mike, of course. And I was like, that's it. That's all the booktubers. And then I started my little thing, and so many people were coming up, and I was interacting with more and more people every day, with you included. And I was like, wow, there's a lot of people that enjoy books. So I think I'm finding a really good spot to just start talking about things that really interest me, especially our little niche too in sci-fi and fantasy, because there's a whole other side of BookTube that we don't even really interact in.
Absolutely. So. It's funny, when I first started, I started a little bit on the Discords and just making connections with a lot of people there. Of course, there's booktubers on there who have these Discord channels, and you're establishing a little bit of connection. So when you actually start the channel, you're kind of right out the bat with people you can immediately connect with and chat with. And I think for me, it was, in the beginning, it was just primarily just booktubers, and then you started getting the viewership of you're building your regular viewership, which I actually enjoy a little even more, because these are people that don't really know you, but they're watching your channel. They're not supportive, fellow content creators or anything like that. They're actual people that you just don't know, and they're coming on and giving your channel a chance. And I think that's just fun.
When I got my first view, I was like, oh, I got one person that viewed the video. That is amazing. I thought that was just an amazing moment right there. But real quick, going to Chris's comment right here. Christopher Navo is not my first US-based person. It was actually another guy named Christopher, being Christopher Rocchio. He was my first US person. Everyone else, I don't know how this happened. Everyone else has been international, which is really interesting. But, we're here in the US today. So I appreciate you, again, joining on tonight. Or, again, this is called the Book Brew. And also, this is not just meant for authors. I want to talk to anybody that's related to books. So if you enjoy books, I want to talk to you, publishers, booktubers, authors, everyone else that we can think of in terms of books. So, and the second word in that, brew, I think you already got a head start on me a little bit in terms of getting to the beer. So I'm just going to dive into my first one as well. I'm going to do this one that's from a company called Funky Buddha, which I think is pretty big. Funky Buddha.
Yeah,
and this
I've heard
one
of that. Yep.
is called a Vibin Groovable Lager. So it's groovy. There we go.
Very nice.
What do you got on your side?
They're all the same. I think I got a old Rasputin.
Whoa, that looks very elegant.
Northwest. Sorry, the camera. There we go. Maybe a little better.
That looks gold plated right there.
They're all the same though. They're all four of the pack I have is the same. So,
like from the same brewery.
Yeah. So they're all the same beer.
No, I did the same thing. Usually until I think this is about my 6th interview so far on the BookBrew. So I've like got a bunch of boxes now of
Nice.
mix packs. I'm slowly building them up because I usually don't drink too much during the week. So now I have a bunch of beer, but they're all like the same thing. So I'm
Now
happy
you got
that
to have more. Now you got to have more live streams.
yeah, it's another excuse. And we got some more people joining in tonight. Welcome everybody. We got Bo Kelly, Mr. Page Turner himself is in here.
Yes.
Bert, of course. We got Ray as well. Look, all these people. Thank you so much again for joining.
I definitely want to shout out Bo and Ray. They were some of my earliest channel supporters way back when I was like maybe reaching my first 100 subs. So they were just behind my corner like almost right away. Ray and I were in a readathon together, and then Bo kind of knew him from the readathon as well. So yeah, those two were just behind me like almost right from the bat, and definitely appreciated.
Can you define for me what a readathon is? I have never done a readathon. I don't know. Like what is that? It sounds like a race. So like what's that include?
It's a competition that some of the Discords do. I think man, I forget the other name of the one I was on. The Keymark Discord did a readathon back in April, and what it is you're put into different groups of just readers, and you try to earn points for each book you read. There's like certain prompts that you meet, like this is a debut novel, or this is the second book in a series, and then you earn a point for that. And they had like limitations, like to make it even for people who are slower readers like myself, and then like you have your speed readers. But I think the limit was like 5 books per month was your limit, and then you enter those 5 books that you read, what prompts they fit, and then you get points for that for your team. And whatever team you are on wins the readathon. It's just a bragging right kind of thing. But but it was a lot of fun, and it was like my first month when I was on BookTube too. So it was like it was just the perfect time, because what it was a lot of interaction with the group you were particularly in. So you were really growing a lot of connections really quickly, and it was just a lot of fun.
Like, where was that? Like, was it facilitated in a Discord? Was it the Page Turner's Discord, or was it a different Discord?
Well, Bo was part of it, but that was when he was on Keymark Discord. And I think the Bookish Drummer also does one as well. If you're a patron to his Discord, I don't think you have. I don't think there's you could just join as patron, but there's a couple of Discords that run those readathons, and they'll run them like every 3-4 months, like maybe once a season, and just do that way. It's a lot of fun. It gets you to read. It gets you through your TBR a little bit.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me. I don't know if you had this back in the day, but in elementary school, we had these things called like AR quizzes, where you needed to basically answer questions on a book to get points and to show that you as a kid are reading, and that certain books got more points than others. So like a chapter book got way more points than a kid's book, or like a picture book. So it kind of reminds me of that. And I have a weird story about that, actually. When I moved to Florida back in like 2005, and that was when I was in 5th grade. And there's a special like event for all the kids that met the AR point goal. And I'm a fresh kid in the last quarter in 5th grade. And I was like, how am I going to get these points? Because I need to go to this event and have fun with all these other kids. So at the time, I already read the Harry Potter books, and I was like, I'm just going to take all these. And these are like, they're thick books. So I got like 40 AR points when a typical book gets like 4 or 5 points. I was like, I'm in, man. I missed a lot of little details in there, but for the most part, I got in. I got into the event, and I had a good time. that's just funny that we have like similar. I mean, it's probably not too similar, but we have these events, readathons. Now that we're adults, so that's pretty cool. So
no, like I said, it really gets you. It gets you a little more. I think it gets you a little more motivated with the reading, and you can really work out through your TBR and clean it up a little bit. Get through some reads. We did a second one in July. The first one was in April. I was a participant in, and the second one was in July. And that one I was an actual team captain on, and it was fun, but it's a lot of work because you're tracking like your teams. And yep, we went out there. Okay. You're tracking your team's points a little bit, and then everybody had to earn like maximum points. They had to write a book review on Goodreads or Amazon or something like that. Mm-hmm. And so I had to like track those as well. So it's a lot of fun, but it could be a lot of work too. So, but I'm glad I did it. Our team won too. So, hey.
Oh, you won too. You got the bragging rights, so actually, you can keep that.
Our team won in April too. I wasn't the team captain in April, but
we won in April too. So you have a winning streak right now with these readathons. So if we do have another one in the future, if I'm on your team, I hope to not let you down, because it sounds like you're on a winning streak right now.
Oh, I relied on my team because like I said, I'm not the fastest reader, so I barely squeeze in my max 5-point books by the end of the month. Like I'm in like writing my review the last day of the month.
So going to, what is your definition of like a fast reader, or like how? A lot of people say that they're a slow reader, but I think it's different for every single person in terms of what they feel is slow. Because sometimes I'm seeing people like, I think Esme Roslyn on Twitter, who reads like 200 plus books a year. I'm just like mind blown by that. Where I'm reading maybe 60 books, which was a huge step up compared to 2022 when I read only 26. So like, what's that look like for you in terms of being a slow reader?
I mean, this year was actually pretty decent for me. So I think I am getting better discipline on sitting down with my free time and reading a book. I tend to, it depends too on the book, on like the complexity or the denseness of a book. Mm-hmm. Like I'm reading Malazan right now. And,
oh, you are?
Yeah. I'm on book 3, and that's been kind of like stretched for like 2 months. Don't get me wrong, I'm reading other books too, it's not the only book I'm reading, but I can't sit down even with a smaller book and get this read in like a day. I usually need, I think I average about maybe like 5 days, 5-6 days to finish one book, like one regular size book. And I think it's just the way I read. And yeah, I think Heidi touches here. It's just the way I enjoy books. I kind of purposely read at that kind of pace. I could probably read faster. I could probably read the sentences a little quicker, but it's just not how I read. I like to just be lost and immersed, even if it's a novella or something like that. I still like to really kind of take my time with reads deliberately. I think last 2023, I think I read 45, maybe 50. I think 50. I think I did hit the 50 mark on books for 2023. And for me, that's incredible. I didn't think that. I did set my goal for 60 this year. And yeah, I guess we'll see if I, can hit it or not. I got some chonkers on my list this year. Yeah, we'll see.
Going to what Heidi's saying right here. It doesn't matter. No, it doesn't matter. I think it's whatever you enjoy. If you're having a good time and it doesn't feel like work, I think it's the biggest thing is that you don't make it feel like it's a challenge in the sense that you're dreading to read. If you're dreading to read, then what's the point of even reading in the first place? So that is a great point.
I think for a while, I think when in the beginning, like I actually already had a burnout in late summer of just like channel content. And I'm like, I think I was getting to the point where like you said, you nailed it right there with uh, feeling obligated to get these books read, so I had content to talk about on the channel.
Hmm.
And I'm like, I can't do that to myself. I need to take a step back, just reevaluate that I do BookTube for fun. It's, this is definitely not, I don't make any plans to make this channel large. Of course, I want to grow, but I'm not like really pushing it to grow either.
Hmm.
So, I mean, I put out a video maybe like once every 7 days if I'm lucky. But I do enjoy it. And I love, like I said, the biggest reward is the interaction, of course. So, I think it was just I was pushing myself to build these large monthly TBRs, and I'm more of a mood reader. So
Yes.
I'm getting
Mhm.
to the
Me too.
point now where I feel like maybe weekly updates are a little better for me, where it's like, all right, what book am I going to pick up next? Well, I have all these break-ins right now, so I'm
Hashtag
gonna
break-ins.
yes. So I'm going to dig into some of theirs right now because these I have available right now. They're fresh, maybe, and then I'll go back to, say, a Joe Abercrombie or somebody like that. Some of these other authors that I still have to read some from their repertoire, kind of thing.
No, that's great. Yeah, I am also reading some of the break-ins as well right now. I know Brian Wilson is here tonight with us. Earlier, actually we read that book around the same time. I don't know if
Yeah.
Brian somehow planned it to where he's like, I'm going to reach out to these guys and make them read the book at the same time so we can discuss it tonight. So you
And I
finished,
felt bad
you
because, and
finished
I
it,
feel
right?
bad because I got my arc from Brian like way back in August. And that
Okay.
was right when I hit that wall of like just taking a break from not so much reading, but channel content and all that. And I didn't want my read of Brian's book to, there's a couple of other authors too at the same time, but I didn't want it to affect the mood I was in at that moment. So I said,
Yeah.
and I reached out to Brian and said, "Hey, apologize. I'll get to this when I'm ready." So, and I wanted to give it a fair chance, and I'm glad I did. I'm glad I waited until December when I was in the better mindset to read because I enjoyed it. I had a blast, and I think I even wrote in my review. I was kept turning the pages, and I'm like, "Oh crap, there's no more pages to turn to." And I'm like, well, now where's the second book?
I know that second one's coming out here pretty soon from Brian. So, um, but going back to your statement about being in the mood to read, I am 100% a mood reader as well. To where that's how I found EJ Double was that I was just
Mm,
scrolling on Twitter and I saw that cover. I was like, holy crap, that looks super cool. I have not really dove into any grimdark in a long time, so I said, you know what? I'm in the mood, I guess, now for some grimdark. So I bought it that same day and started reading it like right then and there. And that's how it's been going for me for a little bit. So I'm trying my best to somewhat have a TBR in terms of like I make a post usually once a week in terms of what I'm reading on Twitter, and I usually stick to that pretty good. But somehow Josh Walker's novella snuck in really quick for me, and I love novellas, by the way, because it makes me feel like I'm reading really fast because
yeah.
they're like 120 pages. So I'm already halfway through that right now, and it's been a really fun journey so far.
I'm getting a better appreciation of novellas. I usually was one of those people that loved the longer the series, the better. I want to be lost, in a world, and I want to be like really immersed. And I was always a little standoffish of novellas, but now I've kind of got into them a lot because, like you said, there's an award of achievement of completing a read and then getting everything from a read because novellas have so much packed into them in just a few
Yes.
pages. And I always admire that with writers who can write these short stories and put so much work that you expect in a long series into such few pages. It's just it. And I'm actually reading Walker's book starting tonight too. So
Oh my god, another book. You know that meme where it's Spider-Man going like this?
Yeah. You
Like
and I are just like, I think we're
yeah.
just in sync. I don't know if it's because we run in the same circles or what, but I think we're just like in sync on so many of our reads.
That is hilarious. Yeah, let me know what you think. I'm probably gonna finish that tomorrow morning actually, because it's just so it's just so fast to read it, but there's so much packed in it, like you said. Do you remember what your first novella was? Because for me, like my first like actual novella was The Fall by Ryan
Mm.
Cahill, which was phenomenal. Like that book just took me through a storm of emotions. It was just so quick of a read, but there was so much packed into it, and the action was just amazing. And then, of course, that made me hyped up to get into the rest of the series. So I'm a huge novella fan now
Yeah,
because of that.
I don't remember what because I think it must have been something I read on the Kindle. I would have to go through my Kindle and look. It's an author that I don't really converse with, so I would have to look on that. But I would let you know. I don't remember
No,
what my first novella was, but I read a lot of like there was a lot of shorter novels that or shorter books that I've read over the course of the year or two. Brian Asher comes to mind. He has this Floating Isle
floating.
series that I read. All of his books, they're all set in this kind of the same universe, but they're all different in nature. Like he has like a fantasy one, a sci-fi one, and he just wrote a horror one, and they're all completely different, but kind of set in the same universe. And
Oh
they're
wow.
really short. In fact, I wish they were longer, but they're really good. I also read, and I think he's in the chat. Derek, I read a few of his
Derek
uh,
B.
but yeah,
Derek
Derek
B.
B.
right here. Oh,
I read
cool.
a
I didn't even
few
know he was
from
an
his
author.
Voidwalker collection. Uh,
Ooh.
they're a collection of shorter stories too, and uh, they're they're they could be. I would consider them novella. Derek can correct me if I'm wrong, but you can read like a couple and then like take a break and read something else. But I'm enjoying the
Mhm.
Voidwalker collection.
That's awesome. Yeah, I think we are actually at a really good spot now to move on to the second beer already. You have four with you right now, right?
I'm on my second, and I have I brought up a second one just in case, but I would have to run downstairs to get a fourth.
I have one that's by a company called Brewdog, which is a what do you call this? It's a brewery out of Columbus, Ohio, where I've actually been to this brewery before, and it's pretty cool because they have like a whole experience, like tasting room there, where you can actually they have a hotel attached to it, which was crazy. But I was there for a work trip one time, and like this brewery just had this curb appeal to where you're like, oh, that place looks like it's cool, it's hip. I want to go check it out because I was by myself at the time. I was up in Ohio by myself. I was kind of lonely. I was like, what should I do up here? Well, I'm off of work, so I was like, I'm just going to the brewery and see what's up. See what's up, and it was cool. I even bought a T-shirt. I bought that like 4 years ago. I still have it. And I wear it from time to time.
Was it an official tour or just kind of like a place you can just show and?
No, they have tours, but it was just like a tasting room. So it was
Mm.
just like a bar. You just go in there and uh, get drinks. They had a whole like dog area as well, so you can bring your dogs to hang out there. They had a whole fire pit as well. So, um, question for you now.
Go for it.
So, did you start your BookTube journey back in 2023, or was it before that?
I started in April of 2023.
So
Uh,
you are in the 2023 class
I am
as
in the
well.
class of 2023. No other year talks like that. I think we're the only ones that say class of something. 2023.
There's been a few of
There-
us, at least
There's quite a
from
few. Yeah.
yeah.
I think it was. I think it's interesting because I think we really are that first year out of the COVID years of most, a lot of the big booktubers that popped up during the COVID years, which was probably a good idea because I mean I was watching a lot of BookTube during that time. I worked. That's when we all went strictly home, work from home from the job, and
Mhm.
so I had, that's when I discovered BookTube, was when I during that time when I, wanted something to have in the background, and I don't always want music playing in the background when I work. So I was like, yeah, let's watch some BookTube, and of course, the big boys came up there, Patrick
Mhm.
Leo and Mike from Mike's Book Reviews, and Daniel Green, of course, um, and yeah, and then from there you just slowly discover more and more channels, and then before you know it, you're sub to like 300
I
BookTube
know. Yeah,
channels.
do you remember, like, who was your first booktuber? Because for me, it was Daniel Green. So he was the one that actually helped get me a little bit inspired to start reading again with, his he made a video where it was like, "My most beautiful books that I own." I was like, "Oh my gosh, I wanna own books too," because that looks like so much fun just to have these amazing looking books that's stored on my shelf. And since then, I started buying books like hotcakes. And then, of course, I dove into Mike, and that's what whole started my entire Sun Eater journey as well. And then so many more from Mike. And Mike has probably influenced like almost 50% of the shelf over here. So yeah, thank you, Mike.
I think it was I think it was Daniel Green for me as well. I think it's just because he's so huge that it just pops up
Yeah,
even if you're not even really looking for specific book. And I think it was like one of the first earliest series I read was The Wheel of Time. So while the series has its problems, it still kind of holds a place in my heart. So I think I was looking at a lot of Wheel of Time content. I think an odd one in the group, the Dusty Wheel was a channel I watched. That his channel like specifically touches on the Wheel of Time. So and then I think that's how I discovered uh, Daniel Green, because he was very passionate about that series at the beginning. And I was like, oh, this guy's very passionate about the books he talks about. And I think this was way back when he just had one single bookshelf. And he was sitting in his like his living room or something. And it was you could tell it was very old school Daniel Green, baby fresh face. And I mean, he still
that's
does,
funny.
but I mean, it was even like, it was like probably what 17 or 18 at the time when you filmed those or something. But yeah, and then when you start subbing to these really huge ones, then I immediately found Mike, and then I was like, oh cool, somebody closer to my age who I can I can feel a little more of a connection to. And yeah, and I was getting a lot of my reads from Mike, definitely.
Yeah, when I was starting to watch Mike's channel, I was really digging his like weekly update videos. I don't know why, like they were just so relaxing for me just to put on, have it in the background. I'm like, oh yeah, that's a good book right there, or that sounds really interesting. So his videos like that just sparked so many reads for me. But um, that's great.
Yeah, definitely and an inspiration for me to do this. I felt like part of me felt like I might have been too old to do this. But seeing people my age and even older, it's any age. I mean, this is
Oh yeah,
we're gonna read until we're 100, if we live
yeah.
not with the way
There was one time my wife was asking, "When is my book hobby going to end, or when are you going to stop collecting books?" I'm like, "I'm never going to stop. It's going on until forever. Okay, I'm going to keep reading. At least that's the hope, right? Because I really started really getting back into reading like 2.5 years ago,
same.
and from then, that's just when I was just getting Amazon box in the mail like once a week with a new book, and that's when the collection started to grow for sure for me. So, did you have like a tiny shelf first, and then it slowly grew, or did you already have those shelves right there in your background, because that's a fantastic looking shelf. As you saw in my video earlier today, I was like, yeah, this is yeah, you're a shelf commander. So you have a very beautiful shelf, by the way. So
Yeah,
how did like the whole shelf
I
journey start for
appreciate
you?
the commander. I can appreciate the commander level. These are actually new, and they're actually by accident because the shelves when I moved to Seattle, I lived in Florida prior to Seattle, and in
Well,
Fort
you live in
Lauderdale.
Florida?
I lived in Florida for 6 years in Fort Lauderdale. Yep.
Oh, cool.
So when we moved up to Seattle, we cross countryed it with just a big old U-Haul and a buddy and a friend to uh, help with the driving and all that. And my bookshelves fell apart on that journey.
Uh,
I think I had two um, bookshelves at the time. Uh, so yeah, they fell apart, and this was even so when I got these. This was even before I got decided to do a BookTube channel. I just I was like, I need to take pride in the books I have, and they're you got some nice hardbacks, and I just care for books anyway. When I read them, you can't tell I read them. I'm so careful with the spines and all that.
yes.
Even my mass markets, there's very, I get so freaked out when I'm like, put a crease in one of the spines. That's why I usually avoid mass markets if possible. But yeah, I take off the slip covers usually of books.
Mhm.
I want to make them like as nice as I can, and that was just me, just wanting to take care of my shit. So I yeah, and it just kind of grew, of course, and then yeah, the BookTube channel hit, and then I I was like this shelf on my left and most of the one on the right were empty prior to the BookTube channel. And then
Wow. Woo. So the shelf on your left and your right is the result of 2023 in BookTube. That's pretty hilarious, actually. Yeah,
yeah,
so far, if you see over here, like this shelf right here and down here,
yeah,
most of these are all the new indie books I've been getting.
yeah.
And here pretty soon, I'm gonna have a dedicated shelf for the break-ins as well, because they all look beautiful and stunning, and I'm excited to have a whole shelf
Yeah,
dedicated to that
this
too.
shelf over here is all my indie books. I don't like I like the separation in a way. I like to take pride in the indie books that I support and all that because that was a goal for me when I started the channel in April. Was I wanted at least as a writer myself, and probably going the indie route, I wanted to be that voice for indie authors,
Hmm.
and I think that's why I thought we need to break the stigma of trad versus self pub. It's just people go a different way of publishing. In the end, there's some my best reads of 2023. I would say about 7 of the 10 were all like self pub books.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
No,
and
I'm so happy that self-published books are getting more recognition now. I feel like a lot of the bigger players in the booktube community are now recognizing that as well. When, I'm sure when Daniel started his channel, he was one of the biggest channels, and he was just getting um, a waterfall of books sent his way. And I'm not sure at the time. I mean, this is a few years ago when everyone was not as huge into the indie space as it is now. But I'm super happy that like you, me, I know Belltube as well, and definitely Beard of Darkness is all supporting the indie authors, especially with his shirt that says "Support Indie Authors" as well.
yeah,
So
K from K Hidden Shelf,
yes,
Tori, of course. Yeah, there's a lot more voices out there, and that was something that I really wanted to focus on. There's a lot of trad pub that I still want to read. There's still, I got I got the rest of Malazan. I got Joe Abercrombie to finish up. I love Daniel Abraham. I got the rest of Pierce Brown to read. So there's a lot of the big names that I still need to read, but I really wanted to make sure that I
Mhm.
gave the attention to indie, because it's just a personal passion for me.
Like, going into what you're reading right now, I know we talked about you're going to read Josh Walker's novella starting tomorrow. Like, what else are you reading right now?
Yeah, as I mentioned, I'm kind of in the middle of Memories of Ice by Steven Erickson.
Like, that's one
So
I
I
didn't
have
even know that you were in. And that's a dense book too.
Yeah, that's a dense book. Yeah, but that one I've been stretching out for a couple months, so it's not really something that, like we talked about earlier about rush. I'm not really in a rush. I just want to be immersed into it as much as I can. Um, to add to the density, I've also included Shogun in my reads. So there's a TV adaptation coming out in uh, the end of February for Shogun, and I guess I wanted to have like maybe a start into it, or a good chunk of it into it. Again, this is something I'm going to stretch out as I go, kind of thing. And then the Dryad book that we're reading in the Buddy Read, I'm reading that as well. So that's definitely enough to keep me busy. But I've used to be like a one book at a time kind of guy, and
Mhm.
now I'm kind of getting just like different moods going. I usually like to try to get a historical fiction in. That's where Shogun comes in. Uh, the one of my biggest goals this year is to do more sci-fi. I don't think I did a lot of
Yes.
sci-fi last year, and I want to do more. And that's where a lot of that's where I have like people like you and and a couple of other sci-fi, a little more sci-fi oriented booktubers, providing me a lot of copies of like books of recommendations, because I am a little in the dark on sci-fi, excluding Sun Eater, which is also going on. I am taking a break from that. I am in the third book of Sun Eater, and
Mhm.
then Pierce Brown's books. I'm an Iron Gold, which is a fourth book, but I'm probably going to read that maybe. I think I probably won't pick that up until March, I think. So
That's good. Yeah,
yeah,
I'm
Bo
100%.
mentioned Wistful Ascending. Joe JCM Burns Burks. I was going to start those last year. I didn't get around to it, so that's on
Mhm.
this year's list too.
Yeah, his Wistful Ascending is actually my next audio read.
Nice.
Um, I love audiobooks. I know some people cannot like read or listen to audiobooks because like their mind does not focus on it. Like, somebody was asking earlier, I think it was actually Derek, was asking how many books do you read at a given time. For me, it's usually 3 to 4, but usually one of those is always going to be a audio read,
Mhm.
which I read usually when I'm like on the treadmill or I'm in the gym or even when I'm reading as well. And the other three are like, one, I have like a bedtime book that I can read, like, that's not insanely dense to where I'm like, I need to have a dictionary on the side table to understand what's going on. And the other two are just like ones I flip back and forth in the morning usually. So, what about for you? I know you said you have about 3 going right now, right?
Yeah, three, four, maybe now going on. And yeah, it's just kind of like the mood kind of thing. I make sure they are a little varied, even if majority of them fall under one genre, like fantasy in this case. But I'm trying to just keep them a little fresh, and then just kind of go back and forth. And I'm finding that I can do that. I was a little worried that I would get everything like confused, like plot lines and all that, and
Hmm.
mixing up the reads I have going on, or like lose focus of what's happening in the book. But I'm actually finding that I can do this. And so while it may sound like I haven't really completed a read in a while, it's I feel like I'm being a lot more productive in the reading, and I'm enjoying switching off back and forth a
No,
lot.
I'm very happy that you are. I know I watched your video as well. We were talking about some of your 2024 goals and sci-fi specifically. And also cyberpunk. I know you were looking to get into some cyberpunk as well. I know Rob today just got his copy of Thrill Switch. Was that one that was on your radar too? Or were you looking just for Neuromancer and Snow Crash? I know you were looking
Oh
at
no,
those
no,
two.
no. I saw Thrill Stitch, and I think it was your channel that was like, I was like, oh, that looks really good. You know? No, I was like, damn it, stop, But yeah, I've always been when it comes to sci-fi, I think cyberpunk specifically was always kind of like my personal favorite like subgenre of sci-fi. I think it derives way back when I was a kid, and seeing Blade Runner in the movies with my dad, and I had no idea what was going on, but the dystopian aspect of a world of cyberpunk, and and then later on in my life, when of course the video game Cyberpunk 2077
Hmm.
comes out, all the argumentations and you know enhancing our human limitations and all that was always just really appealing to me. And then just the neon eye candy and aspect of it. I just got done with rewatching Altered Carbon, which is
Oh,
you know I think they did a really good job with that adaptation. I haven't read the book, so I don't know how close it is to it, but um, it's not on my list. But I just I love that whole thing. And I think for me, as long as sci-fi doesn't get too like Data-esque from Star Trek, Data and Geordi mumble jumble, I'm okay as long as there's a little bit of fantastical, I guess I want to say, in it. Then I'm all on board for it.
hmm Well, I'm the same way. I mean, I love big ideas. I love technology, but I want that plot too. I want something that I can root for and
Yeah.
be on the edge of my seat for as well. So, right there with you. But now, I think we're in a good spot to move on to the third beer for me. And so, you might have seen these cans before, but they are humongous and only a couple bucks. Look how big this can is.
Oh wow, damn, that's a thick one. You
Yeah,
can't
this
even get your
is
hand around it, can you?
no, no, I can't. Look,
Crazy.
so this is Foster's Premium Lager right here, which is from Australia. So I don't know how they have a Australia, or it's founded in Australia, probably brewed in America because it's only $2. Because I don't know how they can get a can this freaking big for $2. But I'm going into it. I don't think I'm gonna drink the entire thing either.
There's a lot of comments on Simon Green, and yes, I
That's good.
one of the that
$2.
was one of the authors I wanted to hit up this year was Simon Green's Deathstalker.
Simon Green. I have not heard of Simon Green. So you said it's a book series called Death Star, kind of like in Star
Deathstalker.
Wars.
Yeah. Deathstalker. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, Death Stalker.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I need to check that one out.
Yeah, I was looking for my book, but I can't find it. But yeah, that's a series I definitely want to get to. Hyperion. It's funny you mentioned this because when we did our move from cross country, we did audio of the first Hyperion book.
Oh,
to
that's funny.
for our cross country move from Florida to Seattle. So that was a lot of fun. Yes, and audio is still a challenge for me. So I can get distracted very easy visually if I like look out my window and it's like, oh, pretty bird. And then I,
Oh yeah.
totally miss like the whole scene play out on audio. So audio is still a little bit of a challenge, but I'm getting a little better with it. Because like you said, it's like I usually have one immersive read going on at the same time. And I just want to get a little more practice with audio. And like Joe Abercrombie was a great way to really get me immersed with audio, because Stephen Pacey was probably one of the best audio narrators that I've heard in recent
Stephen
times.
Pacey narrated Hyperion.
The First Law trilogy.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
So, yeah, he was a
So like,
fantastic
yeah,
narrator.
I was just using him as an example, as like somebody who does so well that I can focus on what is being said audioly. But sometimes I get really easily distracted. Like just the tiniest things can distract me with audio.
Yeah. Heidi is saying that Death Stalker. Okay. I thought you were
Yes.
saying like Death Star or something. So I need to
Oh,
look that one up.
it's probably my dyslexia kicking in.
So yeah, I'm happy that you were able to listen to Hyperion though. I know that's one of my uh, recommendations for anybody
I think
for
you like it.
sci-fi
I'm
stuff.
not too sure. I can't tell if you like
Yeah,
it.
I am. I'm gonna go over the moon if Broken Binding does a special edition of Hyperion. I've like asked them like randomly on Twitter multiple times, when are we gonna get Hyperion? When are we gonna get Hyperion? And they're saying that potentially next year, or actually this year now, since we're in 2024. So if that were to happen, I'm gonna go nuts on
Do
Twitter.
you have a hardcover of Hyperion?
I have a Easton Press hardcover, like leather
Okay.
bound edition, that my friend actually got me, which was a very nice Christmas gift because he knew that I love the book. Actually, going to that, so the way that I got into Hyperion, or usually my process for buying books, usually I get it on Kindle. I read it on my Kindle because it's very easy to read on a Kindle. And then if I love it, I usually want to find a special edition, like hardcover of it, or at least a hardcover, standard edition. Like for you, what's that process look like? Do you just buy the book straight out and just say, I hope I love it?
So yeah, I have a subscription to first off, I have a subscription to Broken Binding. So you can cancel one of their series per year, I think, maybe one or two. I don't know what the exact count is. So you are kind of at the mercy of what books they decide to,
Hmm.
print. I think there is one series I was like, oh, I'm not sure if I'm gonna really like this, and I haven't read it yet. It's not really on my TBR right now, but I have it. Of course, it was a trilogy, and so it's just a kind of a guessing game, but I think I don't buy books just for the sake of buying books to make my shelves pretty. I do really kind of maybe do a little research on what the book is about, if it's going to be
Hmm.
something that I'll find enjoyment in, even if it wasn't quite what I was looking for. If I can find some enjoyment in it, I'll definitely purchase it. There's books that I uh, have on my Kindle right now too. A lot of ones that I don't know if I'm going to like or not, and those are on my Kindle. And I actually just got my Kindle last
Oh,
year I we were going to when we went to our trip in Europe, uh, in Italy for a couple weeks, and I'm like, I got to have something to read, but I'm not going to bring a bunch of heavy ass books with me.
yeah.
So I was like, all right, this is it. This is the breakout moment, and yeah, I bought a Kindle. So yeah, and I do appreciate it. I guess I look at it as I play video games. There's TV shows I watch. My job and my hobbies are on a computer, and I know like a Kindle's not technically a computer, but it's still screen oriented, and
Yeah.
there is something rewarding about a physical copy of a book in your hands. I don't know. I find it more immersive with a book than on a Kindle.
Hmm. No, I understand that 100% as well. Usually, I love seeing how like you're turning the page at a time, and eventually you get to like the last little bit. You're like, oh my god, I am so close, and that's when I don't want to stop, even though I'm like, I need to go to work or something like that, where I only have like 10 pages left. I'm like, no, I need to do this. So, no, I get that for sure. So, question for you: I know you just announced recently that you're going to start doing. I think you called it the Author's Alcove.
Yes. Yeah.
right? Or you're going to be interviewing authors here pretty soon. I know you were asking, like, it's a open question for anyone who's interested. Let me know. Hit me up. Did you get like a torrential downpour of people saying yes, please have me on because they love your channel. You have an amazing channel. So, and you're on
Yes,
the Page Turners
and
Discord.
this again, I have a big thank you to like Bo and actually I don't know if he's still in the chat. The one who really kind of like really got me saying, I got to get this going is author Brian Wilson. He was like, hey, are you ever planning on getting people on your channel to talk about books? And I was like, yeah, this was actually a plan of mine. I was actually going to wait until April, kind of like my year anniversary kind of thing. But after talking with Bo and Brian and saying, there's going to be a lot of people that are interested in this, and yeah, I was overwhelmed. I got so many authors said, yeah, I want to do this, and I want to have it very. Have you been watching any of like the TBR the TBR con videos at all?
Yeah, I was just watching the one with Brian actually, Brian
Awesome.
Wilson, where he
Yeah.
was talking about endings. Yeah,
Yes.
I think the
Yeah, that
whole
was it.
TBR con concept is awesome. By the way,
That
I didn't
was
even
so
realize that
I didn't
until I
know
knew.
that existed. I
Yeah.
thought this was something, like, new this year, and I didn't know existed, and I was like I mean, I don't want to have that many authors on at one time, but I do wanna make Authors Alcove maybe a little more of a discussional thing with authors on there, not just maybe, a one-on-one. I thought of having
Oh.
maybe a couple on at a time, so, people can bounce ideas off each other. I hope to start this in February or yeah, late February. I had a lot of personal things come up in my life. I just got laid off from my job like during the holidays, so I had to like switch focus to you know uh, ramping up my job skills and looking for job interviews and stuff. So it kind of put a little hold on that. But I've had so much outreach from
Hmm.
authors, and I'm just overwhelmed. And but it's going to be cool because I can really now I have a segment that's going to last. It's not going to be like a couple months long. It could last like a whole at least a year, and then by then authors will have new books out and I can have them back on. And I like the idea, maybe further down the road, to have it more topical rather than just like having, you know, being general topics. And I like the idea of like having like that TBR at con esque feel of like
Hmm.
topical discussions, but that's further down the road. But for now, I just want to get authors on there, give them the exposure they deserve, and
Yes.
have those discussions. And it's a win for me because as somebody who's working on their first book in progress, I'm gonna get some feedback or some insight into the writing process myself.
Hmm.
So it's a win-win for everybody.
No, I'm really happy that you have such a huge support for that new segment of yours. I know for me, I thought it was amazing for when I just reached out to authors randomly when I first started this whole thing. I was like, hey, would you want to come on my channel? I mean, I only have like 200 subscribers, but I would love to talk with you about your book because I love your book. And almost every single author that I've remotely asked has said, oh, yeah, for sure. Absolutely. And I think that's amazing is that they still give us, people that don't have like a huge following like Daniel Green a chance to still talk to them and just, gush over their book. And I'm very happy that EJ Double was like my first BookBrew interview with him being a whole indie author. So I'm really happy that I had the opportunity. But now, yeah, I'm at a point where I'm also getting authors asking me, hey, how can I get on this channel? And usually for me, I usually like to read at least one book from the author before I interview them, just
I'm
because.
kind of the same. I want to have at least some kind of, even if we're not really discussing spoilers from a book, I want to have some sort of context of what, what their themes are, what they wanted to portray in their book. So yeah, I'm kind of the same way. So.
Do you have any? Can you reveal who you have lined up first at the end of this month, or is it still under wraps, or next month?
Well, I didn't schedule. I don't have anybody officially like with a dead set schedule, but I mean, pretty much a lot of the break-ins I have planned. I'm just kind of right now. I'm just kind of grouping them together. Like a couple together at a time, and then that way I can't put in the time that like somebody like Beard of Darkness can do. I mean, I'm just like I'm overwhelmed when he can have 3-4 interviews in a week, and I'm like, dude, I don't know how you do this, but you do it. And I'm like amazed that he can get so many people on.
I know. It's insane.
And I thought, hey, it'll be easier too if I can get like maybe 1 or 2 authors on at the same time. And it's like they can both still really have a lot of time to discuss their own individual process, but then sort of make it discussional, and that's kind of the goal. But yeah, a lot of I name people like, of course, Brian, who's in the chat here, Ryan. I talked with Tori. I think I talked with Derek. All these authors, are really excited to do this. And you were talking earlier about like, hey, I'm only at like 200 subscribers, into my channel, but it's, I think they, just are passionate about their craft, that they're like, they don't care. They want to just talk about it. They want to get all this energy that's inside them and talk about, the work they put into their writing. And I think it just shows. And I remember even the first arc I got was way back, even before I started the channel. I was just talking about starting a channel, and Joao Silva reached out.
Seeds of War.
Yeah, Seeds of War. And that was my first arc, and I didn't even officially start the channel yet. and he reached out and he goes, hey, I want to, and I said, well, I guess I said I will have my channel started probably by the time I finish your book. So it's just amazing that these authors are just so passionate, and I love it. I love the fact that I can be overwhelmed with all the reading I have to do. And and then have the opportunity to chat with them about it. And I'm sure because you've already started it, it must be very rewarding for you.
No, it's amazing. Yeah, this thing gets amazing that I was happy alone back before I even started the channel, when I posted something about a book and I tagged the author and they simply just liked the post. I was like, oh my God, they liked the post. That's insane. And now I'm finally at a point to where I'm like talking with them, and it's mind blowing. Like, I'm still head over heels that I was able to talk with Christopher Rocchio on the channel. But I think we're at a point now to get to the 4th beer, for me at least, which is this Turpin Lua, which is a passion fruit, orange, and guava IPA. So it should be very tropical, even though it's January. So I'm going to go to Hawaii and just check out the beach real quick. I mean, it smells really good.
You'll have to let me know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's an IPA. I'm not a huge IPA fan.
I'm not either.
Most IPAs just taste very similar to me, to where they just have that super strong orange aftertaste.
Their IPAs are very big up here in Seattle area.
I feel like IPAs are just grown in mass popularity recently. I don't really see why, but I mean, it tastes pretty good, I guess.
It's funny.
So I wanted to shift gears a little bit and actually talk about you as a writer. I know you mentioned it a little bit tidbits here and there. I know you're writing your very first book. So how did you even come up with the idea? You know what? I should write a book one day. Like, where did that come from? And how's it going so far for you?
I think I think it's just one of those things that just sort of like naturally happens, and I don't know if all readers can or all writers feel the same way, but it was kind of just something that you just start doing naturally. Like I was in a creative course way back in high school, and I was just remember it was just something that I was like, I'm doing this. I feel really good about just writing. Getting a lot of like thoughts and you know inspiration, not just from the books I was reading, but just it was just something that was just inside me that it was just
Mhm.
like needed to get out and that you didn't even know at the time. So there's aspects of the current book I'm writing that I can pull back way back from when I was first in college, like years ago. Like, but I wasn't writing the book way back then,
Mhm.
but there's concepts that exist way back from there. And of course, you just mature those themes a little bit more as you grow older. But it was just kind of a natural process for me to say, "Hey, this is something I want to do." I was never really one of those people like I need to be the next. I want to be the next uh, Steven Erickson, or I want to be the next George R. R. Martin. That's not. It's still not even in my mind. It's just something I just need to get out of me and to see it maybe into a book form, which I enjoy.
Mhm.
And if two people like five-star it, my job is done, kind of thing. So I that's kind of just where I'm at. I think it's just a natural thought process for me to want to write. And yeah, and I started with short stories. I started a lot of poetry, even just something I just dabbled in for a little bit, and then I was like, all right, I like fantasy. I think I can do this, and yeah, that's just kind of how the ideas were born.
So I'm going to assume that you're writing something in the fantasy genre. Like, you're not writing a nonfiction book, right? Or a
No, no. I It's funny you say that because I used to read a lot of nonfiction in my early days. My first degree from college is in archaeology, with a
oh wow,
minor in ancient history up to medieval studies, and
cool.
I did read a lot of like nonfiction, and I toyed with a couple of nonfiction ideas. I toyed with travel narratives, and I toyed with because I've had some kooky travel um, experiences, I but then I think always first and foremost was fantasy for me, and I wanted to play around with what I could do with it, what I can do with. I like a lot of the classical tropes, but I wanted to try to like maybe turn them on their head a little bit and give them maybe a unique spin to it. Like I'm willing to share that in this work of progress, I do play with the chosen one trope, but they're not the main characters. It's the characters around the chosen ones that
Oh,
are the primary POVs in it. And there's a lot of like, even though they're some of the chosen ones are, you know, have good intentions, they still bring negative ramifications to people around them. And I wanted to explore the idea of, you know, what are some of those negative ramifications and how do those regular everyday people that are just trying to live their lives, how they're getting affected by that, by what they're trying to do. And so I wanted to play around with that a little bit.
Now, that's such an interesting idea, a fantastic idea, really. Because, like, when you think about the chosen one, I know like Superman is not a good example of being like the chosen one, but I'm just going to your example there, where like he might save a particular person, but in the background, the city is in ashes now. So it's like, yeah, he did save that person, but also all the other ramifications, like you were just talking about, is also something that we need to account for and also think about as well. So I love that idea that you're exploring in that book. So, um, do you like, is it still just like a far off idea? You're still working on it, you're still toying on it, or do you have like a deadline in your mind in terms of, if by 2024 I want to have this first draft done? Like, what does that look like for you?
So the first draft is written.
Oh,
And
heck yeah.
yeah, now granted, this first draft was probably about a 10-year span. So going back to those earlier chapters that are written like 10 years ago, and there's a lot of definitely a lot of things I need to improve. I do think my writing style, of course, has improved from those earlier chapters. I'm reading them and they're just god awful, and I and I talk a little bit about this on other people's channels, but I there's a whole POV shift I want to make as well, um, where it discusses a very personal theme to me, between a husband and a wife. And I was going to do, in the first draft, it was all the husband's point of view, but then I think I was accidentally writing the wife's point of view, and it kind of like shifted accidentally, but she had the more interesting plot line. So I have to go back when I go back to the second draft, which I'm starting into now. I have to like switch to her, not only to her point of view. Thankfully, a lot of their chapters are together anyway, so
Hmm.
the scenes are about the same, but I have to get in her headspace now as compared to his. So there's a lot of shift there. And then the other big challenge I'm doing to myself, I don't know why I'm doing this to myself as my first work in progress, but I'm writing multiple POVs, and there's 5.
5? Ooh,
So
okay. Good amount.
I don't know why I'm doing this. I don't know why I'm doing this to myself, but I'm gonna challenge myself, and I'm writing it. These books are going to be a little bit time chronologically. There's an order to them, but I want to be able, if people wanted to pick up the second book, they can, right off the bat. So that way, maybe if the first book bombs, you can still read maybe the second book individually, and it be a different experience. And like I said, the only thing that's different is, the only thing that puts them together into a series is the time chronological order of how you read the books.
No, I am very excited for this. All the little tidbits that you just talked about makes me very excited. So definitely just think about me when you're looking for some ARC readers out there, or you're looking for somebody to check out your book. I mean, my hand's up, okay? I
I
am
mean, one of the top indie supporters in the community. I think I'll
yeah.
go to you.
Yes. Yeah, I'm definitely very excited for that. So definitely keep me updated as you make progress with that. And like Ryan is saying, yes, multiple POVs. And I think you haven't started Lost Souls just yet, but this is also a great example of lots of POVs. Like,
Nice.
I think there was like four
And
or
that's not
five
even
just right off the bat.
that's not even a large book. Wow.
No, but he
Wow.
does it so
I can't
successfully
wait to
too.
read
So,
this. Yeah.
mhm.
Doing that March buddy read, I think. Is it March? Yeah, I think it's March for in page turners.
So I got two more questions for you.
Absolutely.
The I guess the one before the last one is going to be, how do you even have time to write a book while reading all these books and work and have a normal life as well? Like, where do you make time to write a book as well?
Well, I mean, it is. It's all of just trying to do what I'm in the mood for at the certain time. And I think this is why I consider myself more of a slower reader, because I do have to try to make time for the writing, and I do have to. It's just a kind of a balance. I kind of go with what my mood is. As I mentioned, I am currently laid off right now, so I I have a little more time to do the writing aspect of my job. But like you said, it's with work. It's most of my job anyway. Even when I get a new job, it's probably going to be most likely work from home, so I can like do a lot of immersive reading with audio while I'm working, kind of thing, and so I can get a lot of reading done with
Hmm.
that, and then writing. I try to just sit down for an hour. If it doesn't click with me that day, then whatever. But if like yesterday was a really good day for me, I think I got like uh maybe around 850 new words written. I am you know doing the rewrites, so it's a little easier than just straight out writing on a blank
Hmm.
page. I can take a lot of the structure or some of the concepts that I have going on from that first draft, carry them over, and then just kind of course, use my more distinguished vocabulary, or something like that, and play out the scene a little better, in a little more vivid detail. And so I guess it is a little easier now that I'm into second drafts, where I have a structure that I can play with rather than a blank page. So it's a juggle time. But I mean, my last YouTube video was I think like almost I'm going on my second week. So there are sacrifices. There's
Hmm.
not, I don't get content out as much as I would like to. But you just kind of have to use the time wisely.
Well, I commend you 100% because, like, I recently just started writing written book reviews. And at first, I was like, where do I even start? Like, the meme where SpongeBob, he spends hours and hours and hours and he ends up just writing the word the. That's what I feel like sometimes when I'm writing these reviews. I'm like, I love this book. Now I just need to express that in a review. So
Yeah.
I commend you for writing a full-on story. Definitely sign me up for an arc. Looks like we got some people
Absolutely.
in the chat as well looking for it.
I am hoping to have maybe a date ready by the end of the year, 2024. I feel like there is another draft in me after the second draft. Of course, there's probably a fourth draft. I don't know how many
Hmm.
drafts it takes, really, honestly. And I there is a I am a perfectionist in a weird way. So I got to learn to let go of that, because I'll be writing this for another 10 years. If I don't say, all right, this is probably a good time. And then of course, I need to start thinking of, editors and
Oh yeah.
you know, beta readers and all that stuff. So I got to get that kind of like a plan in mind, and for all of that, and invest in. I do want to get a good artist for a cover,
Hmm.
um, and because it's just something that would bother me if. I mean, I'm not an artist in any shape or form. So there's no way in hell I'll be able to do my own cover.
No, that is amazing, fantastic. I'm super excited for you. Definitely, yeah, take as much time as you need, but not too much time.
No.
No George R. R. Martin stuff, okay? Because I
Oh
want to
god,
read this thing.
no. My goal is to have my book ready before Winds of Winter comes out.
Oh, there we go. Well, he's gonna make a surprise announcement tomorrow. Winds of Winter coming out 2024. But no, so for the last thing, I wanted to basically just put you in the spot real quick and just give you the floor in terms of whatever you want to say to whoever's watching it, the video this long, you can talk about what you're going to be reading here pretty soon. You can talk about what you're going to be working on your channel here pretty soon. Well, anything that you want to basically close out on, the floor is yours, Mr. Christopher Navo.
I mean, I think we covered a lot of the things I wanted to really focus on, because you and I share so many like similar aspects to what we want to present on our channel. Is the focus on the indie self-pub community. I think we need. It's tough because I mean the majority. Looking at the chat line, the majority of the audience is authors of the self-pub and indie community. But for anybody outside, I really just encourage you to break that stigma of trad versus self-pub. Writing. The publishing community in itself is changing, and I think people are learning that good, fantastic quality writing and books are found in any type of publishing space. And I really think that just because somebody decided to go self-pub doesn't mean it's because they failed at like trying to trad pub.
Mm-hmm.
It's because they decided because they want to have full control of the work and full access of what they wanted to achieve with their writing. A lot of I'm not putting any damper on trad pub. There's a lot of trad pub that I'm enjoying. I'm enjoying Malzahn, I'm enjoying Abercrombie, and I'm enjoying all of these fantastic books that are so widely talked about. And there's a reason they're talked about so much is because they are enjoyable. But there's a lot of hidden gems that aren't getting the spotlight. And because there's this stigma there's negative stigma on self-pub and indie, and somebody who wants to go that way purposely. I have no intention of trying to get into a publishing house. And I think it's just something that just needs to be broken down. And I encourage booktubers who are watching and anybody else just to give read more self-pub and know that there's so many great books out there. There's honestly, like I said, my most disappointing reads of 2023, and I don't like talking negative about books in general, but in 2023, I would say some of the least favorite books were traditionally published, and not only that, really popular books. And I'm not going to say because I don't want to lose any subscribers, but I just think that it just goes to show that just because something is traditional and pleasant doesn't mean it's like on a higher level than any kind of indie pub. It's just the direction that author decided to go in the publishing. That's all it comes down to. I think this community overall is just a lot of fun and fantastic positivity for me. I've only had very few negative comments really directed at me, and I don't dwell on it. It's something you just got to get used to, especially as an author, when you're gonna get those 1-star reviews, and you're just gonna it's gonna ruin your day, of course. And I'll probably look at them, maybe if I learn something from it, great. If they're just nasty and just like, I'll just like, I'll have a shitty day, but it's all you can do. And I think but I'm happy that I chose this outlet to really, express myself a little with my passion for reading, my passion for writing, and just doing this type of thing, this outlet. I like gaming. I thought of doing a gaming channel, but those are pretty, there's a lot more time consuming, I think. And Probably, and I see a lot of the comments that a lot of the gamers deal with on a regular basis, and I don't see that in the BookTube community. I see it's primarily very positive. There's very few negative like people in our community, I think, and it was just never something I want to do it as my channel, is to like spill the tea kind of thing. I want to keep everything positive, and I and I want to it's just what I prefer to go in my journey.
I think that's fantastic final words here for the stream. I 100% agree with you. Indie all the way. Some of my, again, like you were saying earlier, some of my favorite reads of 2023 were indie books. So definitely, if you have not read many indie books and you're watching this right now, I definitely recommend you to check some out today. There's actually a ton of indie authors here in the chat right now that you can go check out later on after watching this video. And also, I'm going to link Christopher Nava's channel in the description as well if I haven't already. So you can go check out his channel and give him a sub as well, as it seems like we're going to be covering some of the same books as well. So we might have a chat in the future on books that we both enjoy and we can discuss about. So again, Christopher, thank you so much for joining me tonight. I hope you enjoyed your very elegant looking beers that you had tonight.
And I'm honored that I was your first BookTube guest. Yeah, I'm sure you would, getting Mike or Library of Viking or somebody on cool. But I thank you for making.
Hey, you're cool too. Okay.
Choice. No, I appreciate it.
Knock yourself. You are cool. I mean, you're a bookshelf commander, by the way. So you're right up there in the high ranks. So, all right, guys. I really appreciate all your time tonight. I know, Christopher, we can continue talking for hours more, but going to your statements earlier, we also have a life outside of BookTube, so I'm gonna go to that now. So thank you, everybody.
Thank you all very much.
Have a good one. Yeah. Peace. Good night and sweet dreams.